The NBA season is just 1 week away now, so it's as good of a time as any to dive into the awards and predict what we believe will go down in each of their races this year. Lately, we've been seeing a ton of tight battles for these awards year after year, and I expect this season to be no different, with countless players coming in with real chances to win each of them. Of course, the awards we'll be going through today are the Most Improved Player, the Rookie of the Year, the Sixth Man of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Year, and the Most Valuable Player. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I'd also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. We'll start with the Most Improved Player award, and the player that I believe will take this home in 2025 is Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors. Kuminga has all of the opportunity in the world in front of him this season. It's just up to him to actually go take advantage of it, and after the way that he played down the stretch of last season, I'm very confident he has another big leap in him. Kuminga's career began with him being an incredibly raw talent with elite athleticism and physical tools, but he lacked the skill to put them to use on a consistent basis. But last year, things really started to click for him, and that could just be the beginning. His footwork is much improved in and around the paint, his ability to create off the dribble and attack the rim has become a legitimate weapon for the Warriors offense, and there's a very real pathway to him stepping into the number 2 role on the Warriors this year. Klay Thompson is now in Dallas, Andrew Wiggins has looked like a shell of his former self over the past year, and his best days could be behind him. Draymond Green has never been much of a scorer, and the signings that the Warriors made to fill the gaps were all role players at best. Kuminga has the talent to easily be a close to 20 point per game or more scorer after he averaged 16 per game last season, spending half the year coming off the bench. Some other players that I fully expect to be in the mix for this award though include Josh Giddey and Jabari Smith Jr. Giddey is going to have way more opportunity to thrive in Chicago with the ball in his hands on a more consistent basis as their starting point guard, and Jabari Smith Jr. will continue to hold down the starting power forward spot in Houston because of his strong defensive impact, so if his shot can come around like it did during his college days, he could definitely push for this award too. Next up is the Sixth Man of the Year award, and the player I believe will win it in 2025 is Jaime Jaquez of the Miami Heat. Jaquez's selection may come as a bit of a surprise, but when I was looking at the landscape of this award, I really found myself more and more sold on him the deeper I went. The Miami Heat are another playoff team that were incredibly silent this offseason, meaning that their guys are going to come back into similar roles that they were playing before, and last year, Jaquez was already incredibly involved as a rookie. He played like one of the most NBA-ready rookies in the whole league, his scoring package is as pro-ready as anybody's from the class, and the natural improvement from year 1 to year 2 could play a huge role and pay big dividends for the 6'6" big-bodied wing. He averaged an efficient 12 points per game off the bench last season, and had a very strong summer participating with the Team USA Select Squad, getting to run scrimmages against the Olympic team, where he played very well and held his own. He's also been vocal about how hard he's been improving and working towards his 3-point shot, so if he can improve that mark from being a 32% shooter on threes like he was last year up to a league average mark of 36%, I can easily see him putting up about 16 points per game off the bench this year, and there aren't that many guys that touch those numbers coming off the bench in the NBA. As for the others that will be in the mix here, I think we will see Bobby Portis and Naz Reid. Portis put up 14 points, shooting 41% from 3 last season as a terrific 3-and-D stretch big man in Milwaukee, and he remains the only backup big man that will realistically get big minutes on the Bucks worth playing, so with Brook Lopez continuing to age, Portis' role will stay very active. Naz Reid is the reigning winner of this award, and the team also just traded away Karl Anthony Towns, in part because of how much they believe in Naz Reid, but with Julius Randle now being in the lineup, his role isn't guaranteed to increase by that much. Next up is the Rookie of the Year award, and the player I believe will take it home this season is Alexander Sarr of the Washington Wizards. Sarr was the number 2 pick in the draft this year, and for most of the pre-draft process was actually viewed as the number 1 guy in the class, but he had a pretty poor showing in the Summer League, all things considered, and that hype cooled off a lot around him as a result. Since things have gotten kicked into gear for the new season though, he's actually impressed quite a bit in preseason, but all of this, the good and the bad, need to just be taken with a grain of salt. Summer League and preseason basketball rarely mean much in the grand scheme of things, so let's look at the rookie landscape objectively. Sarr is one of maybe 3 rookies in the class locked into a starting role on their teams, so he's one of the few guys who will get the amount of opportunities to be in the running. He's a 7-footer with range out to the 3-point line, so his offensive versatility will be tapped into this year, and defensively, he may be the best shot blocker in the class, so his production will probably be tough to top. As for the others that I see being in the mix for this award, I have Zach Edey and Zachary Risachet. I've definitely been critical of Edey in prior videos and am still hesitant to buy into him fully at this level, but he is going to be the Grizzlies starting center this year, which inevitably means he's going to be involved enough to be in the mix for the award here. Risachet has seemingly been forgot about since being drafted number 1 overall as well, but he too has had a strong preseason and could flourish as a two-way wing playing alongside Trae Young in Atlanta. Next up is the Defensive Player of the Year award, and the player I believe will win it this season is Victor Wembanyama of the San Antonio Spurs. Wembanyama came into the NBA last season as an unbelievable defensive force, primed to become an all-time great defensive talent, and nearly won this award as a rookie, finishing in 2nd place in the voting. With a year of experience under his belt and a much improved Spurs roster around him, this is the year Wemby should win the first of what could be many Defensive Player of the Years that he'll have on his resume, and it's hard to even consider anyone else taking it from him. He led the NBA in blocks by a wide margin last season, the Spurs defense improved by 6 points with him on the court, and players shoot about 11% worse at the rim when Wemby is contesting the shot. His absurd length and ability to recover no matter where he is on the floor is a weapon no one else really has in their arsenal, and we're probably witnessing the start of an era of dominance. As for the others that will get votes though, we of course can't count out Rudy Gobert, who won it last year, and also Bam Adebayo. Gobert has won this award 4 times, so he'll still be in the running whether people like it or not. Adebayo, though, has been one of the most underrated defenders in the game for years now, and his versatility deserves more recognition, but unfortunately it's now coming at the same time as the rise of Wembanyama. And finally, we arrive at the biggest award of them all, the MVP, and the player I believe will win it in 2025 is Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks. Luka has been pegged as the next face of the NBA, seemingly since he stepped foot on the court as a rookie, and has been one of the most productive young players the league has ever seen. Last season, we saw him take the leap as a leader in the playoffs, leading his Mavericks team to the NBA Finals, and now I fully see him carrying that momentum into the new year and winning his first MVP award. After years of this award being dominated by Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid finishing in 1st and 2nd place in the voting, the landscape is finally starting to open up, and Luka has the combination of elite, unmatchable production and expected team success to solidify himself as a clear-cut favorite. After leading the NBA in scoring last season, I can absolutely see him doing that again this year. He now has Klay Thompson in the mix to dish out even more assists too, and I like the chances of the Mavericks finishing top 3 in the Western Conference standings, checking every box that an MVP needs to take home the award. As for the others, of course, Nikola Jokic will still be in the running, and I also see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being in the mix as well. Jokic needs no explanation really, as his resume does the talking for him, but SGA and his Thunder squad will also once again finish near the top of the standings in the Western Conference, and he himself is a 30-point per game guy, so a case will be made for him too. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below who you think will win each of these awards this season. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.